Welcome everyone to this conference titled The Student Response to Global English, the Complex Implementation of an International Language Separated from its Monolingual Speakers. My name is Chabert, and I work at the University Jaume I. And for the past few years I have been carrying an international study focused on English language teaching in primary school in Norway, Spain and China. Today I aim to present the current situation of English as a de facto lingua franca and how it is being approached and received in the schools. Not only has English become a global language, but it is now a compulsory subject, posing the question on whether English is now a skill or a language. By approaching English from a global perspective, we deviate from nativism and the traditional figure of the native speaker in second language acquisition. However, this is still a very complex concept, and its implementation in language teaching is very limited. At the moment, approximately 2 billion people use English, or at the very least they are learning English on their day-to-day, and English has become the main language of international communication. With this current status as an international language worldwide, primary schools in almost every country have adapted their curriculums to include English as a compulsory subject. This situation of English as a lingua franca, while it is not new, it is changing its perspective. For decades, the English language was seen as a threat to multilingualism and a tool to make minority languages obsolete. Yet, even though having a global language has the potential to overtake the position of minority languages, it can also help multilingualism by clearly separating the function of a global language from the speaker's mother tongues. English language teaching has for many years, and even now, followed monolingual, monocultural and monocentric models, and while ELF, that is English as a lingua franca, has been researched for the past 20 years, its application is still uncommon, if at all existent. One of the reasons for its slow application is that teaching English as an international language presents some pedagogical challenges, such as what variety to use, the position of the native speakers, and its assessment. However, in our current multilingual society, monolithic solutions are no longer viable. By treating ELF as a fluid framework, we can adapt it to its classroom. After analyzing the several curriculums for primary school around the world and the current common European framework, it was clear that there is a generalized idea of presenting English as this international language. And while we will present the research on the actual curriculums in our other conference, English Language Inside the Multilingual Primary Education, comparing language policies in Norway, China and Spain, here we will focus on the attitudes, perceptions and beliefs of the current primary school learners on their mother tongue and English. Our study included 3 schools in Spain, 2 in China, 1 in a rural region and 1 in an urban one, and 1 school in Norway. It is worth noting as well that the schools in Spain were in Castellon, which is a bilingual region, and the students speak both Valencian and Spanish. The reason for choosing such varied contexts was to observe how different cultures and background languages would influence the perspective of the students in the matter. As we can see on this slide, the number of students per school was quite similar in all schools except for rural China. In each school we had 2 classes participating in the study, and in rural China, despite having also 2 classes, the number of students doubled compared to the rest of the context, which also had an impact on their view of language learning. For this part of our study, we carried out questionnaires using a Likert scale in order to analyze the language attitudes of primary school students toward their mother tongue and English, as well as their perspectives and beliefs on language learning. The questionnaires had different sections that focused on demographic data such as the languages of the students, the contact with English outside the school, or even their age. Then there was another section focused on the value of the mother tongue from the student's perspective, as well as how they valued English. Another section also focused on what the students think of the approaches to learn English, and another one focused on their general attitude towards the use of English. Here we have divided in this section for the motivation and attitude towards English and the mother tongue. On the left-hand side, we will see the relevant statements or questions, and moving towards the right, we can observe the percentage of the students scoring from 1 to 4 in the Likert scale, with 1 being strongly disagree and 4 strongly agree. We also highlight in red the significant results. We can also see in the table that in Spain, in the statement of my mother tongue is a language as important as English, we make a distinction between Catalan and Spanish as well, just to compare how they both, bearing in mind that they have both Spanish and Catalan as their mother tongue, how they score them compared to English, which in this case we can see that they were quicker to qualify Spanish as important as English, whereas Catalan was not so important in their eyes. Overall, we can see that the students believed that the mother tongue was important for them, yet they classified English as the most important language. China lays in a more middle position, but considering how nationalistic they are in the country, this is a very significant outcome that shows how the position of English is advancing, and how, because of this, it's very important that the students are taught an ecological view of language that respects minority languages. In this section on perceptions and beliefs on language learning, we can observe, especially on the third, fourth, and fifth statement, that most of the learners in all contexts agreed or strongly agreed in using different languages in the English classroom. It was interesting to see that the students believed that knowing their mother tongue well would help them learn other languages. This was especially significant in Spain and China, as they do not follow a plurilingual approach. Also, all students disagreed with the notion of the English-only classroom, which was so prevalent in English teaching, and immersion is often believed to be the only way to learn a language well. As for the English use, we could observe how in both Norway and China they did not agree with the statement that speaking the mother tongue in class is wrong. But in Spain, they confirmed that that was the case, which was not surprising, bearing in mind that a monolingual approach to English teaching is usually advised, and the use of other languages in the classroom is discouraged. This questionnaire provided us with a holistic view of the context. It also showed how the concepts of plurilingualism were often misunderstood. In fact, in a part of the questionnaire where the students were asked about their mother tongues, even when they spoke more than one language, they did not consider themselves plurilingual. We could observe that despite valuing their mother tongue on a personal level, on a global scale, they did believe that English was the most important language, which shows a necessity of using an ecological approach so that they keep valuing their mother tongue through the years. And finally, they also showed an innate sensitivity towards plurilingualism, inferring the possible uses of the mother tongue in English learning. These results show that language policies and the curriculum have a direct impact on the students' view of English and their own language, which in turn means that there is a need for a more ELF-aware perspective to English as a global language. The students appear to be very open to the idea of using their mother tongue to learn English and show this sensitivity towards the interconnectedness of languages. The present study has contributed to further understand the generally underestimated value of the mother tongue in English language learning, as well as the need for a sustainable ELF perspective in education worldwide. When introducing English as a global language, policy makers and educators should be conscious of providing a sustainable education of English, understanding the learner's beliefs and perspectives, and introducing the concept of ELF in practice. By breaking the boundaries that separate languages in language teaching, a plurilingual approach to English teaching can be introduced so that the English language is part of the learner's linguistic repertoire rather than a potential substitute for their mother tongue. So English and multilingualism become interconnected. And with this, I hope that you enjoyed this conference, and I thank you very much for attending. I am more than happy to answer any of your queries. Have a great day.